Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain to you these three important points, okay? So these are the three important points about waves that you definitely have to remember. So this point, the first one, you might have already, the first 2 points you might have already seen in the video. But then just to clarify, I am explaining it again. So all you have to do is just remember what I'm explaining so that you can just, visualize whatever I'm explaining and remember the point rather than by hearting it. So when you understand it, you will be able to write about it better rather than sitting and mugging it up. So the first one might be a little confusing to most. Particles of water are pushed down by the wind and they come up again. This up and down movement is passed from one particle to another and is visible as a wave. Now I'll explain this point to you. Okay, so firstly, I want you to understand these two lines. I'm going to be drawing two lines. This is one, and this will be the other flow. It's going right next to it. Okay, right on top of it. Now I'm going to label these two. So what do you think they might be? Judging from the color, this you can. I think you might have already guessed that this blue line will be representing water. And the one on top, yes, you're right, it's wind. Okay, so you can see that the wind is blowing over the water surface, and the water surface is very peaceful. It's a straight line, and this straight line is denoting that it is, very peaceful. It is, there is no disturbance on top of the water surface, and it is just, at rest. There is no movement as of now. Okay, now when the wind blows on top of it, what do you think will happen? When the wind is blowing on top of it, a wave is appearing. Now we are going to understand how this wave is coming. Okay. Now we'll just read this once more so that we can try to make out the meaning. Particles of water are pushed down by the wind and they come up again. Now forget about water for some time. Just think of some sort of a metal or any sort of a hard object. Okay. This is denoting the hard object. You can take a metal rod for your reference as of now. Now I'm going to apply some force from top normally, that is perpendicularly, over here. Now what do you think will happen at this point, this particular point where the pressure is being applied, this one? What do you think will happen? Two things can happen. Either that metal rod will break, or other than that, what can happen? It will bend. Yes, that's absolutely right. It will go down and it will bend. And that is exactly what is happening with water. We drew two lines before. I'll just draw it again for your reference. Okay, this is water. And here's a pink arrow that is denoting the wind. Okay. Now what happens when the wind is blowing over the water surface? This water is getting pushed down. See, when the wind blows from top like this, okay, yes, the water is like this as of now. When the wind is blowing, the wind pushes the water down like this, and that is how this bottom curve occurs. Now now you say that okay, the movement goes on like this, but we only learned about this one part, how the water is getting pushed down. So yes, when this part of water goes down, then undoubtedly this part will automatically rise. This part of water will automatically rise. So this goes down, this goes up, this goes down, this goes up, and the movement just gets transported like that. So that is exactly what you have to remember. That is how the movement is getting carried. So just remember that line again. Particles of water are pushed down by the wind and they come up again. Okay, you have to write this and they come up again also, because this is showing how the movement is going. The wave, it always travels like this, right? Down, up, down, up, down. So this and they come up again is very important. You cannot miss that part. This up and down movement is passed from one particle to another and it is visible as a wave. Now the another point which I showed you, which is a very important point, is the wave moves along the direction of of the wind. So I think this point is very clear. So if the wind moves towards this side, towards the right, or towards the east, then the wave will also be transported in the same direction. The wave goes here, the wind goes here, then the wave will also be transported in that direction. So I think that point was pretty clear. Now we will go to the third point. Now this is another very important point that you shouldn't forget. So in the first line where I told you that, the particles of water are getting pushed down by the wind and they come up again. In that point, it was clearly written that this up and down movement gets transported. Why do you think it was written as the up and down movement is getting transported? It's because of this point that you definitely cannot miss out on. When a wave occurs, when a wave is going like this, you should keep in mind that nothing is happening to the water. The water molecules are still there only. Nothing is happening to them. It is only the motion. Motion means what? The movement. What movement? This up and down movement. Because of the wind, it's just the movement that the molecules are passing. If the water molecules, just imagine like this, like these circles. Okay. So just imagine they are all, okay, they won't be this intact because, they are all loosely packed. So if you, keep in mind the water molecules are like this, as this straight line, they are just, arranged in a straight line because the water is at rest currently. So what is happening? The motion is just getting transported like this. One molecule is passing to the other molecule, and this movement is getting transported from one molecule to the other molecule, and that is how the wave appears to be going like this. But actually nothing is happening to the position of the molecules. The molecules are there only, nothing is happening. It is just the movement that they are passing. So these were the 3 points that you shouldn't forget at all. Now we are going to come to another very important part, that is parts of the wave. Now here we are going to talk about parts of the waves as in the sea waves. This is another topic that will be covered in your science portion as well. But here I'm not going too deep into science portions. Yes, there will be a video about this later on. But as of now, I'm not going to be delving too much into the scientific parts, just the basic geography parts. That is the simple parts of the wave. These are common in science also, like when you learn about sound. Also, it will be the same sort of parts only. But here we are only referring to the sea waves. Okay. Now this is how a wave would look. I'm pretty sure you all would be knowing. Okay. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we are going to draw a line right through the middle for reference. Okay. Going to bring it a little down. Yes. Okay. It's not very exact, but this is just for me helping you to understand. Okay. So this is how it would look. We are just, using this line, this blue straight line for reference. Now we are going to label the parts. Okay, so firstly, I'd like you to know these two important parts, this one and this one. It's not just in these two, it will come here also, here also, here also, here also. It goes on in the entire way. So this uppermost point, when the wave goes down and then it comes up, the highest point it reaches, this is called the crest. Okay. Now the wave comes down also, it comes back down also. Now the lowest point it reaches before it goes back up again is called trough. T-R-O-U-G-H is the spelling, but it is pronounced as trough. Okay. So now it is not just for these 2 points that we have a crest and trough. It is there everywhere. It's here. Here, this is a crest. This is a crest. This is a crest. This is a trough. This is a trough. This is a trough, and so on. So just remember this: top is crest, bottom is trough. Okay. The the topmost point, the uppermost point of the wave. Okay, over here, and this is trough, the bottommost point. Okay, crest, trough. 2 points you shouldn't forget. Now, I'm going to, if I were to draw a line between these two, okay, I'll take a different color so that you can understand. If I were to draw a line between these two crests, okay, I'll just, make the crests of same height. It will be of the same height only, so you don't have to worry about that. The crests and trough, each crest and trough will be of the same height only. The height won't vary. Okay, this is just because I drew it by hand right now. So if there is if I were to draw a line between these two crests, okay, not just the crest, between these two troughs, between the crests and troughs, then what would you call this line? There would be a certain name for it, right? Yes, and we call this line between, that is a distance between two adjacent crests or two adjacent troughs, not between one crest and one trough, two adjacent crests or two adjacent troughs. Okay, you are not supposed to join these two parts, only two crests or two troughs, adjacent ones, not they will be the successive ones, not after this one you're skipping one or two and then you're connecting these two crests. No, the successive crests or the adjacent crests. Okay, this length is called wavelength. Let's recall the meaning of it again. The distance between two successive or adjacent crests or troughs is called wavelength. Now we found a wavelength. So what do you think this will be? If this is the mean water level, okay, means if the water were at rest, it would be looking like this straight line which I drew here. This one, highlighting again. Okay, if the water were at rest, then it would look like this blue line which I'm drawing right now. Okay, so we talked about the wavelength. So what would you call this from this crest to here to this trough? What would you call this? Or from the trough to the crest, this part, what do you think will you call this arrow, this one or this one? It would be called, keep guessing in your mind before I write. Okay, it will be called wave height. Okay, so this is a wavelength and this is the wave height. Okay, vertical line is wave height and horizontal line is wavelength. If you might have covered this topic in science as well, then you might have learned that this part will be called as the amplitude, that is from this mean level to the crest or the mean level to the trough. This will be called amplitude. But currently, as I already mentioned before, currently we are not referring to the scientific concepts. We are only referring to the ocean waves, the sea waves, ocean waves. Okay, so the scientific concepts will be also added in another video, hopefully. But as of now, we'll just stick to these parts. Wavelength and a wavelength crest trough, these are all the parts that you will see in sound waves as well. So if you have studied about them, then you will see them. These will seem as familiar to you. Okay. Now, okay, so I guess we have covered most of the parts. So before we finish, we will do one revision. Okay, revision of all the parts. Okay, now we're going to start again. Just remembering the parts. Here's your wave. Okay. Okay. Now here's the reference line. Okay. Now we are going to go with this part. Okay. I'm just going to format this for you. Now we are going to label these four parts. First one is the upper part of the wave is called crest. The lower part is called trough. The vertical distance between the crest and trough is called wave height. The horizontal distance between two crests or two troughs is called wavelength. Now we named these four we learned about the definitions of these four parts. Let's point them out on the wave as well. First one is the upper part of a wave is called crest. Where is our crest? This is our crest. Okay, this is also a crest, this is also a crest, this is also a crest. This wave is supposed to be here, but when I was just drawing it out for you, the wave didn't come out so properly. My apologies for that, but I just want you to understand that it will all be of the same length like this. Okay, same height. It will go on like this only, not that one crest will be down, other crest will be little up. No, they will all be of uniform height. Okay, the upper part of a wave is called crest. This is the crest. We marked the crest. Okay, the lower part is called trough, which is our trough. This is our trough. We're going to mark the trough. Oops. Yes, that's the one. Okay, so this is also a trough, this is also a trough, this is also a trough. I think you might have got the idea by now. The vertical distance between the crest and trough is called wave height. Okay. Vertical distance between the crest and the trough. Vertical. This is something I already told you. Vertical is wave height, horizontal is wavelength. So between the trough and the crest, this is called wave height. The horizontal distance between two crests or two troughs is called wavelength. So this is one crest, this is the other crest. This is one trough, this is the other trough. Okay. And these horizontal lengths are called, horizontal distances are called wavelengths. Okay. This is one wavelength, this is another wavelength. It's not just here, this is also a wavelength, this is also a wavelength, this is also a wavelength. Okay. So that's just about it, about the different parts of a wave. I hope this video might have given you a picture about ocean waves, which is another type of the movement in water bodies. So please do not forget this topic. So that you don't forget this topic, keep revisiting it. You can make a note of the important points. Do not miss out on the important vocabulary, because the vocabulary is very important. The usage of vocabulary, if you change it here and there, then the meaning gets changed all in all. So that is why you should always make sure you can simplify the words, but don't remove anything. Don't omit anything. You can use simpler words instead of difficult ones so that you can remember it easily. Okay. Keep revisiting this video so that you continuously recollect the concepts. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. This is Learning Now Simple signing out.